Incredible journey, Black woman CEO reveals humiliation by billionaire family, cancels $500 million deal. Maya Carter stepped into the sterile boardroom, her heart pounding like a drum as she prepared to face the notorious Willoughby family. This wasn't just any deal, it was a monumental $500 million agreement that could redefine her company and uplift her community. But those cold, marble walls felt heavy with the weight of history of privilege and exclusion. Today, Maya was determined to challenge that legacy. A single mother's sacrifices fueled her ambition, a mother who worked multiple jobs just to ensure Maya had a chance. Each long hour, each worn-out shoe, whispered the values of hard work and resilience. Yet, as she caught the dismissive glances of the Willoughbys, she could feel those lessons teetering on the brink. The patriarch, Gerald Willoughby, leaned back, a smirk on his face. "Maya, it's refreshing to see someone from your community attempting to make waves in business," he said, the thinly veiled condescension slicing through her. With every meeting, the microaggressions intensified, not just uncomfortable but deeply humiliating. "You know, our foundation supports disadvantaged neighborhoods," one of the Willoughby daughters chirped, her voice dripping with false sincerity. It felt like a slap. As the comments piled up, Maya's stomach twisted. They didn't see her, they saw a stereotype. Each day, navigating this deal felt like walking a tightrope. But she couldn't afford to back down. The potential for change lay within her grip. Yet, the whispers in the boardroom grew louder, echoing the doubts she'd fought against her entire life. Did they really believe she didn't belong? Did they think she'd crumble under pressure? Grit and grace danced together in her heart, propelling her silently forward. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The breaking point arrived during a particularly tense negotiation. Maya stood, her voice steady yet charged with emotion. "You think my community is just a footnote to your success? I am not just another box to check. My achievements are forged from the gritty soil of struggle, and it is not just my story, I carry the stories of countless others." The room fell silent, her words hanging in the air like an electric charge. Maya could see the shock on their faces, the way they recoiled. What had started as a business deal was now a testament to her very existence. In laying bare the hypocrisy, she reclaimed her narrative, the power surged within her, igniting a fire of resilience not just in herself but in the collective spirit of her community. Yet, victory tasted bittersweet. As she walked away from the table, the weight of her decision crashed over her. The deal that could have changed her life now seemed like a betrayal to her roots. Maya resolved to redirect her efforts towards lifting up marginalized entrepreneurs. The emotional dilemma, though painful, felt right. With every step towards her new mission, hope flickered in the air, intertwined with the heavy uncertainties of the future. What transformations awaited her? Would her journey inspire others to rise and reclaim their own narratives, or would the systems she sought to dismantle prove too powerful? As she moved forward, every heart in her community beat with her, ready for what came next. Maya stood alone on the street, her mind racing, thoughts churning like a storm. She had walked away from an opportunity that many would die for, yet her heart felt lighter, even if the path ahead was obscured. With the sun setting, casting a warm glow over the city, she felt the weight of her community behind her, urging her to forge a new path. This was her moment to reclaim her story, not just her own but that of countless families who had been overlooked and undervalued. She took a deep breath, the cool air filling her lungs, tinged with hints of salt from the nearby ocean. This was where her new journey would begin. Maya pulled out her phone and opened the Notes app, her fingers flying over the screen. She drafted plans for a new initiative, one that would support aspiring entrepreneurs in her community, offering mentorship, financial resources, and a platform for their dreams. The fire was reignited. Her phone buzzed, breaking her concentration. It was a text from her best friend, Amina. "How are you holding up? Heard the news. Let's meet." Maya couldn't help but smile. Amina always knew when she needed support. Within minutes, they arranged to meet at their favorite coffee shop, a cozy nook filled with laughter and the rich aroma of roasted beans. When Maya stepped inside, Amina was already waiting, waving enthusiastically. "You did it, didn't you? You stood up to them," she exclaimed, her eyes wide with admiration. Maya felt the warmth of Amina's encouragement wash over her. "It felt like more than just saying no to a deal," Maya admitted, sinking into a chair. "I needed to take a stand for my community, for everyone who hasn't had a voice." The conversation flowed easily, like an old song that felt familiar yet uplifting. Amina was quick to ask about Maya's plans. "So, what's next? If you're starting this initiative, you need to make a splash. People need to know you mean business." The energy between them buzzed with excitement and possibility. As they talked, ideas bounced back and forth like a game of catch, each building on the last. Maya felt the weight of her earlier heartbreak lift just a little. She envisioned a series of workshops, inviting successful entrepreneurs to share their stories, their struggles, and strategies for overcoming barriers. Each seminar could foster connections, plant seeds of hope, and spark inspiration among those desperate for change. After hours of brainstorming, they got up to leave, their plans still echoing in the air. Amina squeezed Maya's hand and said, "You have the power to change lives. Don't ever forget that." Maya walked home, excitement mingled with determination. As she prepared to tuck away her dreams for the night, a thought struck her. There were countless others like her, holding back their own stories, afraid to shine. But what if she could bridge the gap? What if by lifting one person, she could set off a movement that rippled through the community? Her heart raced at the prospect. She would gather her courage, rally support, and face the challenges head-on. That night, she couldn't sleep, and the vision danced vividly in her mind. She wanted to host a launch event for her initiative, a gathering that would not only celebrate resilience but ignite ambition in every corner of her community. She wanted to bring together those eager to transform their dreams into reality. But as she contemplated the logistics, a nagging voice crept in. Could she attract funding? Who would support her mission? The shadows of self-doubt returned. The system was rigged against people like her. Still, Maya was no stranger to fighting against the odds. The battle ahead would be daunting, but she was ready to take the leap. As the dawn broke, giving way to a fresh day, she made a vow. She would reach out to organizations and local businesses, calling upon allies who believed in her vision and were ready to stand beside her. Every heart in her community would join her in this journey. When she finally connected with them, would they believe in her too? Would the change she sought really take root? The answers waited just beyond the horizon. Maya awoke the next morning, determination coursing through her veins like electric currents. The sunlight streamed through her window, illuminating the stacks of paper scattered across her desk, each filled with plans, ideas, and dreams waiting to break free. She had a mission, and today would be the day she took the first steps to bring it to life. With a quick breakfast, she hurriedly crafted an email to the local community college. They had a thriving entrepreneurship program, and she hoped they would be interested in partnering with her initiative. Typing furiously, she let her excitement spill onto the page. Each word felt like a promise to her future self and her community. "Maya, are you coming to the art exhibit tonight?" her neighbor, Carson, called from the hallway, interrupting her concentration. She peeked out of her apartment, catching sight of his mural-covered canvas bags and the sparkle of his infectious energy. "It's going to be amazing, a real chance to connect with creative minds." "Definitely. I can't miss it," Maya replied, her heart pounding with the thought of mingling with local artists. The event could serve as a perfect platform to spread the word about her initiative. She took a moment to envision vibrant conversations blooming from such a gathering, where dreams and creativity would intertwine. As she clicked send on her email, excitement turned into nervousness. Would the art community resonate with her vision? Would they be receptive to her proposal for collaboration? Taking a deep breath, she dismissed the doubts. Every journey had to start somewhere. Hers just happened to involve a leap of faith. The hours flew by. Maya spent the day researching potential sponsors. She reached out to local businesses, offering to feature them at her launch event in exchange for support. It's time for our community to lift each other up, she told herself as she practiced her pitch in the mirror. This isn't just about me. It's about everyone. The sun began to set as she dressed for the art exhibit, feeling a mix of excitement and trepidation. She chose a vibrant dress, one that reflected the energy she hoped to channel that night. When she arrived at the gallery, her heart sang with the sounds of laughter and music. The space was filled with color. Canvases adorned the walls, and the mingling crowd created an electric atmosphere. As she moved through the gallery, admiring the talent around her, she spotted Lisa, a former classmate whose entrepreneurial spirit mirrored Maya's own. "Hey, Maya. It's been forever," Lisa exclaimed, enveloping her in a warm hug. "What are you up to these days?" Maya's pulse quickened. "I'm starting an initiative for aspiring entrepreneurs in our community. I want to create workshops and mentorship programs. Would you be interested in getting involved?" Lisa's eyes sparkled with interest. "Absolutely. I know people who could help. This is exactly what we need. Let's chat more." With every conversation, a spark ignited in Maya's heart. People were genuinely excited about her vision. Ideas flowed like water, connecting her to others who shared her passion. But as the evening progressed, there came whispers of a well-known business mogul soon arriving. His presence would likely bring a flood of attention, but for Maya, it was bittersweet. The mogul loomed in a world of privilege that many, including Maya, felt alienated from. She recalled the moments that had changed her life: the rejection, the stares, the doubt. Who would listen to her when someone with $1 billion net worth entered the room? But tonight, she wasn't there to shrink. She had a voice, and it was time to use it. As she prepared to step onto that stage, her breath caught in her throat. Would her passion resonate? Or would she be overshadowed once again? With resolve swelling in her chest, she took another deep breath, ready to shine. As she made her way to the main area, her phone buzzed in her pocket, a notification lighting up the screen. It was a message from Amina: "Can't wait to see how you'll inspire everyone tonight." With a last glance around the vibrant room, Maya stepped into the spotlight ready to ignite change. But little did she know, the mogul wasn't just coming for admiration, he had his own agenda in mind. Would Maya's journey turn into a battle, and how could she confront this unexpected challenge? Maya's heart raced as she stood beneath the soft glow of the gallery lights, surrounded by a sea of curious faces. She could feel the energy crackling in the air, infused with anticipation and hushed whispers. Her mission flickered brightly in her mind, a guiding star through the looming uncertainty. As she approached the microphone, she couldn't help but glance around. The rich scent of paint mingled with the sweet notes of wine being poured, laughter ricocheting off the walls. But in the back of her mind, the tension tightened with every mention of the mogul's name floating through the crowd. Was he here to scout talent, or was there a deeper reason behind his presence? Taking a steadying breath, she focused on the crowd, trying to lock eyes with those who showed interest in her earlier conversations. "Good evening, everyone," she began, her voice steadying as it filled the room. "I'm Maya, and I'm here because I believe in the untapped potential we have in our community. I want to create opportunities for aspiring entrepreneurs to grow, connect, and thrive." The applause that followed washed over her like a wave, momentarily silencing her doubts. She began to share her vision of workshops and mentorships, her heart pouring into every word. But when she spotted a tall figure entering the room, her thoughts scattered. The mogul, radiating wealth and authority, had arrived. He moved through the crowd like royalty, shaking hands and accepting compliments while maneuvering past the local artists, the very individuals who lived the dreams his fortune allowed him to dismiss. The stark contrast made Maya's stomach churn. Yet, she pressed on, believing in the power of her voice. As she concluded her pitch, a familiar applause rang out, drowning her in its warmth. But as she looked up once more, the mogul's gaze locked onto hers. The brief moment of eye contact sent a chill coursing through her. He smiled, but there was something predatory in his presence. "Bravo, Maya!" he called, strolling toward her, his booming voice commanding attention. A noble cause, indeed. The crowd shifted, now divided between admiration for her ambition and intrigue to see how the mogul would respond. "Thank you," she replied, her pulse quickening again. "I believe we could do so much together." "It's together?" he interrupted, tilting his head slightly as though her words puzzled him. "I've built companies worth billions, you know. Surely you must realize the kind of support and influence I can provide. A little partnership could elevate your little project to heights unknown." Maya felt a flush creep into her cheeks. His words, a mix of condescension and undeniable power, ignited her frustration. "It's not just a little project," she managed to say, her voice stronger than she felt. "It's about empowering lives and transforming our community." The crowd stirred as the tension built. The mogul leaned in closer, and in that moment, it felt as if the world had shrunk to just the two of them. "Empowerment is nice, but in business, it's results that matter. I'd suggest you reconsider your approach. The people you want to attract will want to hedge their bets, not gamble on dreams." Maya's heart raced not just with fear but with resolve. She had envisioned this moment as an opportunity to inspire, not to shrink in the face of intimidation. Every word he spoke only steeled her belief in her purpose. "Then let us redefine what those results look like," Maya replied, fire in her voice. "I refuse to be minimized by someone whose empire was built on the backs of others. I believe we can achieve success without sacrificing our values." The crowd gasped, the tension snapping like a taut rope. She could feel their eyes shift to the mogul, waiting for his response. What would happen next? Would he retaliate, or could this be the beginning of a fierce challenge that would change everything for her newly ignited initiative? The air thickened with anticipation, and what lay ahead was uncertain. But one thing was clear, she wouldn't back down. This was more than a battle for her dreams, it was a fight for the soul of her community. In that charged moment, she realized she was ready to stand her ground, no matter the cost. Would this confrontation spark an unexpected alliance or escalate into a fierce rivalry that could threaten her initiative altogether? The night was far from over, and Maya's fight for change was just beginning. Maya's heart thundered as the mogul paused, his expression shifting. The crowd held its breath, caught in the electric tension. Would he unleash a powerful retort, or would he brush off her defiance with disdain? The air thickened around them, charged with anticipation. He laughed softly, a sound that echoed like a dull drum. "You're quite fiery, aren't you?" His smile didn't reach his eyes. "But fire can consume. Are you prepared for that?" Maya squared her shoulders. Her discomfort morphed into courage. "I'm prepared to fight for what's right," she said, her voice unwavering. "If that means facing obstacles, then so be it. I believe in our community, and I won't let anyone push us down." The crowd watched, rapt and divided. Some murmured in agreement, while others looked to the mogul, curious about his next move. He leaned back slightly, feigning contemplation, and then nodded slowly, as if humoring a child. "Passion is admirable," he finally remarked, his tone dripping with sarcasm. "But it takes more than that to build something lasting. You'll learn that soon enough." He turned away, dismissing her. A wave of frustration washed over Maya. "You might be right," she called after him, her voice steady. "But it's not just about building something. It's about lifting those around us and creating something meaningful. I 1T stand by while people like you decide who deserves a shot at success. The crowd erupted into applause again, a sign of encouragement. Maya felt their energy surge through her, reminding her she wasn't alone. This wasn't just her battle, it was theirs as well. The mogul's smile faded. He glanced at the audience, annoyance flickering across his face before he masked it again. Well, he said coolly, perhaps I underestimated you. But keep in mind, I'm not just here for theatrics. When the time comes, you'll realize that power is not an abstract concept, it demands respect and results. I'll redefine those results, Maya shot back, emboldened. The words came tumbling from her lips. My results won't be about profit margins, they'll be about the people I uplift. And if you can't see that, maybe you'll be the one left behind. The crowd roared with renewed fervor, their cheers a lifeline. But beneath the surface, Maya could feel the undercurrents of trepidation. A question floated in the air like a specter: could she really challenge someone so powerful and come out intact? The mogul gave her a final, scrutinizing look. There was a flicker of something. Was it respect or resentment? All right, Maya, he said, his voice low yet powerful. You have my attention. But don't mistake my interest for kindness. I plan to stay in the game, and I might just alter your vision. With that, he stepped back, his presence still lingering like a shadow. The applause faded, leaving a buzzing silence. Maya's heart pounded in her chest, the weight of her confrontation settling heavily. She had provoked a giant, and while the crowd buzzed with excitement, she felt the stark reality of what lay ahead. In a world where power often crushed dreams, could she forge a new pathway? Would the mogul turn into a mentor or a ravenous adversary, bent on dismantling her efforts? As she scanned the crowd, her resolve solidified. Tonight, we're launching something bold, she called out, her voice rising above the quiet. This is just the start. Together, we will write our own narrative. The crowd erupted again, their energy revitalizing her spirit. But an unsettling thought gnawed at her: did she have what it took to wade through the storm brewing around her? Moments later, she spotted someone in the back of the gallery, their gaze fixed intently on her. Who were they, and what role might they play in her unfolding saga? She couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of an unexpected journey. Maya took a deep breath, the adrenaline still coursing through her veins. The energy from the crowd lifted her spirits, but uncertainty twined through her thoughts. What had she just done? She had taken a stand against a titan of industry. The applause faded, leaving an echo of determination intertwined with doubt. Who is that? She whispered to herself, glancing toward the figure at the back of the gallery. It was a woman, her expression inscrutable, yet there was a spark in her eyes that intrigued Maya. She wore a sharp business suit, her confidence radiating like a beacon. For a fleeting moment, Maya was tempted to dismiss her as just another observer. But something about her presence was magnetic, drawing Maya's attention back again and again. Are you all right? A soft voice broke through her internal storm. It was Kara, one of her closest allies, her brow furrowed with concern. You were incredible up there. But, are you sure you want to go against him? Maya waved her off, shaking out the nerves. We can't back down. If I don't fight for this community, who will? You know, it's not just about passion. It's about strategy. We can't underestimate him, Kara cautioned, her gaze flicking back to the mogul who now stood off to the side, surrounded by his cadre of advisors, a tall glass of whiskey clutched in his hand. Maya felt the weight of those words. She wasn't foolish, she understood the stakes. Yet a fire ignited in her chest, and she refused to let fears shrink her aspirations. Then we strategize, she replied, her voice steady. But we do it on our terms. I'm sick of waiting. Kara nodded, her silence suggesting that she was still processing the gravity of what lay ahead. Maya took a few steps toward the crowd, hoping to engage with the faces before her. Every cheer reignited the flame within her. Suddenly, she felt someone behind her. She turned to see the woman from the back, now closer, her face illuminated under the soft lights of the gallery. "Excuse me," the woman said, her voice strong yet calm, "I couldn't help but admire your bravery." "Thanks," Maya replied, maintaining eye contact. "I'm just trying to do what's right." The woman smiled, revealing hints of empathy. "I'm Alina. I've spent years in corporate strategy, and I've seen people like him crush dreams. But change doesn't have to start with him, it starts with you." Maya's heart raced at the thought of someone with Alina's experience stepping forward. Could she be the ally she desperately needed? "What do you mean?" "Your vision is commendable, but it needs structure. You can't fight this battle alone." "I'd like to help you," she offered, her sincerity palpable. Excitement and hesitation tangled within Maya. What if opening up to someone new meant risking vulnerability? But then again, every great story involved meeting allies along the way. "And how do you propose we do that?" Maya asked, curiosity piqued. Alina leaned in, her tone dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "Let us meet tomorrow. I have some ideas that could shake things up." Maya nodded, feeling a flicker of hope amidst the uncertainties, but also a challenge remaining unspoken. The mogul wouldn't take her lightly, and she had to be ready for whatever might come next. As the evening wound down, the crowd began to disperse. Tension still crackled in the room, she could feel it trailing like smoke in the air. She turned back to Alina, just as the mogul caught her eye from across the room. His gaze bore into her, thick with latent threat. A chill skated down her spine, as if he were sizing her up like a predator sizing up its prey. "Just remember," Alina said, breaking her concentration, "fire isn't the only tool you have. Sometimes, you need the right plan to stoke the flames." Maya felt the weight of those words settle like armor on her shoulders. "I'll remember that." But as she watched the mogul's smile return, a cold chill swept through her again. Her heart thudded with uncertainty. Could she really navigate this treacherous game? Tomorrow was going to be another battle. But what would the cost be? Would making allies prove to be her salvation or her undoing? Maya barely slept that night, the adrenaline from her speech mingling with the weight of anticipation for the uncertain day ahead. Thoughts of Alina kept her awake, tugging at her mind like a melody she couldn't forget. What direction would their conversation take? Would Alina's experience truly reshape her approach, or would it lead her deeper into the game's treacherous waters? As dawn broke, the first rays of light fell on her, poorly illuminating the swirling doubts in her heart. She pulled on a simple but professional outfit, the fabric a little too tight around her shoulders, a reminder of how far she still had to go. Looking in the mirror, she practiced her smile. Confidence, she reminded herself, was key. The cafe where they agreed to meet buzzed with morning energy. Wooden tables were set nearby, and the scent of fresh coffee filled the air, looking to invigorate patrons as much as sunlight seeped through the windows. A thrill ran through her, a combination of nerves and excitement. Perhaps today, she would ignite a spark for real change. Maya spotted Alina already seated in a quiet corner, perusing through a set of documents. She waved, and Alina looked up, her face lighting up with a warm smile. "Glad to see you," Alina said, rising to greet Maya. "I just went through some of your proposals. You have a vision that could work." "Thank you," Maya replied, her voice steady despite the flutter of anxiety. I hope we can put something into action soon." Alina gestured for Maya to sit. "Great first step. But it's not just about ideas, we need to focus on how to get them implemented without drawing too much heat from your enemy." The word enemy hung in the air, intensifying the moment. Maya leaned in. "You mean the mogul?" "Yes, him. This isn't a simple battle of wills. He'll try to undermine you every step of the way." "We need to be smart about our moves," Alina replied, her eyes gleaming with determination. As they began to strategize, Maya found herself engrossed in Alina's insights. They sketched out a game plan that would appeal to the community and stir conversations that could turn public sentiment in her favor. Maya pored over every detail, jotting down notes and fleshing out ideas. Yet, a nagging worry pricked at her. Would this plan be bold enough? Would she have the courage to fully commit? Suddenly, a familiar face entered the café. The mogul. She froze, clutching her pen tight, heart racing as he caught her gaze. His presence loomed larger than life, even more menacing up close. He was surrounded by his entourage, and Maya felt like an underdog at a championship game. "Stay calm," Alina whispered, noticing Maya's tension. "Remember, you have the upper hand here." Maya watched as the mogul greeted patrons, his charm on full display, but even amidst the smiles, something darker flickered in his eyes as they met hers. Power and control shifting atmospheres like a low thunder. Their eyes locked once again, and Maya's heart pounded. Here was the man who represented not just a corporation, but a looming threat against everything she stood for. Would he suspect that she was planning a counterattack? As the mogul turned away, Maya returned her focus to Alina. "I can't let him intimidate me." "You won't," Alina reassured her. "He may have the resources, but you have something he doesn't. Community trust." The tension thickened, weaving its way through their discussion. This was no longer just a battle for her community's future, it was also about her own identity, about rising above prejudice and misrepresentation in a world dominated by men like him. The gravity of her resolve settled in. "What's our next step?" Maya asked. Alina smiled, a mix of pride and anticipation gleaming in her eyes. "Let's take that trust and use it to fuel the fire we're building. It's time we turn the tide." But deep down, Maya felt a twist of apprehension. As they prepared to meet the challenges head-on, she wondered what sacrifices would she have to make along the way. And would it be enough to truly stand against the mogul's empire? Tomorrow was going to require strength she wasn't sure she had. Would proving herself in this bigger game lead to liberation, or would it sink her completely? Maya paced back and forth in her small apartment as the sun set, casting shadows that grew long across the floor. She replayed her meeting with Alina in her mind, searching for reassurance in the conversation she had. But confidence wavered with each step. Alina had laid out a plan, a pathway lit by trust and community, but there was a darkness lurking in Maya's thoughts. What if they failed? What if the mogul, with all his influence and resources, quashed her efforts before they even started? The mere idea tightened her chest like a vice. "Maya, focus," she muttered to herself, her voice a low, steady hum in the silence of the room. She tossed her notes onto the kitchen table and pulled out her laptop. If they were going to fight the mogul, they needed every scrap of information, every advantage they could find. After scrolling for a while, she stumbled upon an article about the mogul's past dealings. The write-up presented him as a charitable titan, yet it highlighted his ruthless business maneuvers, how he had consistently emerged on top, leaving a trail of broken promises. Maya's heart raced as she read each line. There it was, the cracks in his polished facade. This could be the angle they needed to turn public opinion. Determined, she began typing furiously. Ideas flowed as she crafted a narrative that showcased the mogul's greed masked as philanthropy. The very community he claimed to support could see the truth. Her phone buzzed, jolting her back to reality. It was Alina. "I just reviewed your notes," the text read. "You're onto something. We need to push that angle in our next meeting." Maya felt a flutter of hope, but it was quickly snuffed out by another thought: would the mogul retaliate? He didn't strike her as someone who took impertinence lightly. That night, sleep evaded her once more. Doubts and fears tangled in her mind like a web, but beneath them, a flicker of determination ignited. She could not allow the mogul's empire to overshadow her resolve. Early the next morning, with the sun barely peeking through her curtains, Maya slipped into her professional attire and took a deep breath. Today was a day to act, not just to strategize. As she arrived at the community center later, she found Alina waiting for her, her intensity palpable. "We need a rallying point," Alina said, scanning the room, which was bustling with members of the community. Maya nodded. "What do you think? A town hall meeting? We can share the article, gather opinions, create a buzz." "Exactly." Alina's smile was contagious. "Let them know they're not alone, that their voices matter." Together, they worked to organize the meeting, pulling in volunteers from the community. As the day wore on, Maya felt a sense of purpose settling in. Each flyer they printed, each person they spoke to, fueled her resolve. Just then, her phone vibrated loudly, jolting her from her thoughts. A notification blared from social media. Local CEO stands against Billionaire's influence. Community trust takes stand. Maya's stomach twisted. They were being watched already. A wave of fear washed over her. What if the mogul caught wind of their plans? Alina leaned close, catching the anxiety creeping into Maya's expression. "You're not in this alone. Remember, the strength lies in numbers. The more voices we rally, the harder it will be for him to silence us." Maya nodded, but doubt still lingered in the back of her mind. There was a test coming. Would their combined strength be enough? As they finalized preparations, a new thought nagged at her. Would this meeting retrieve control for her community, or would it provoke an unexpected retaliation from the mogul? With every tick of the clock, anticipation built. And as the crowd began to gather, Maya stood before them, heart racing, ready to ignite the change she desperately sought. But her eyes flicked toward the entrance, scanning for a hint of danger. What if the mogul decided to show up? How would she handle that? The stakes had never felt higher, and deep down she questioned whether she truly was ready for what lay ahead. And then, the door swung open. Maya's breath caught as the door swung open. Every head in the room turned, and for a moment, the only sound was the collective intake of breath, an electric pulse of anticipation and anxiety. In walked the mogul himself, a man exuding confidence and authority. He was flanked by two sharply dressed aides, their expressions unreadable, but their presence felt like a weight in the air. Maya's heart raced, her mind a flurry of thoughts. This was the moment that could make or break everything. Alina caught her eye, an unspoken question hanging between them. Was this a wise move? Maya wrestled with the impulse to retreat, to grab Alina's arm and bolt from the room. But she steadied herself, reminding herself of the purpose behind their gathering. Their community needed to see this confrontation. It needed to witness the fight against the intimidation tactics of a billionaire who thought he could control everything, even the narrative unfolding in this very room. "Everyone, please settle down," the mogul said, his voice smooth like silk but with an edge that cut through the crowd's murmur. "I came to hear what you have to say." His gaze swept across the people, his smirk growing slightly as he surveyed the sea of worried faces. Maya realized she was gripping the side of the podium hard enough to turn her knuckles white. "We're here to talk about the effects of your influence on our community," she called out, her voice faltering just a little before she pressed on. "We're here to stand against distorted promises and broken trust." A murmur rippled through the audience, a mix of support and fear. But Maya pushed through the nervousness. She needed to light a fire, to show the community they weren't alone. She gestured toward the article projected on the screen behind her, images of the mogul's past moves, his charity events juxtaposed with headlines of his broken business deals. "You claim to support us," she pressed, "but how many of your projects have benefited the people they were meant for? How many families have been left in your wake?" The mogul's jaw tightened, an imperceptible shift that did not go unnoticed by Maya. There was power in questioning authority, especially when a room full of voices rose behind her, echoing her sentiments. "We need transparency," Alina interjected, stepping forward with a courage that ignited the crowd. "You can't just sweep in, make promises, and expect us to be grateful. We demand to be heard, to be respected." A collective murmur of agreement rose, louder now. Maya's heart soared at the sight of the community rallying together, but part of her remained gripped by anxiety. What would the mogul do in response? Would this brave front invite retaliation? For a split second, the mogul's confident facade cracked. "You think this will change anything?" he replied, his tone icy now, eyes narrowing. "You'll soon realize how misguided this all is." Maya felt a chill creep up her spine. The weight of his threats hung heavy in the air, but the community stood firm, their presence solid and determined. They had passed the point of no return. There was no backing down now. "Enough of your fear tactics," Maya shot back, louder than before. "We are taking back our narrative. You can't silence us." But even as she fought to remain strong, doubt slipped in. What if this was only the beginning? What if the mogul had plans to dismantle their movement before it even gained momentum? As questions clouded her mind, she saw a flicker of resolve in the faces surrounding her. They were ready, every one of them. Maya took a deep breath, steadying her resolve. It was just the start of a long battle. Then, just as the air seemed to thicken with unease, her phone buzzed in her pocket. She glanced down, eyes widening at the message flashing across her screen. "Server crash, documents leaked. We're breaking news." Maya's heart sank and soared all at once. Was this what they needed to turn the tide? Did they have the evidence now, or was it just more fuel for retaliation? She looked up, overwhelmed but ready. "We have to stand together," she shouted, eyes bright with determination. But how far would they go to fight back? And what would the mogul's next move be? As the crowd erupted in explosive energy, a mixture of hope and fear filling the space, Maya realized they were standing at the edge of something monumental. The battle had just begun. Maya stood at the forefront of a changing narrative, her heart pounding fiercely. The roar of support filled the community center, a chorus of voices rising like a tidal wave of hope. Every person in attendance was ready to reclaim their story, and in that moment, Maya felt the weight of their collective dreams resting on her shoulders. "Together, we will not be silenced. Together, we will create change," she cried out, her voice echoing with determination. Each word was a beacon, piercing through the tension in the room. It felt as if they were all linked by an invisible thread of resilience. But could they endure the mogul's impending response? Enough of this. The mogul barked, his face tightening in anger. A stillness fell over the room, the atmosphere thick with uncertainty and anticipation. "You think this pleasantry will garner any real support? I have connections, power, and resources at my fingertips." Maya felt her resolve harden, the fire within her resonating with every heartbeat. "You might have power," she replied, meeting his glare head-on, "but you underestimate us. We are not just a collection of individuals, we are a community committed to healing and growth in spite of your attempts to undermine that." The crowd erupted once more, their voices weaving a tapestry of solidarity that drowned out his threats. "Yes," they chanted. "We will rise." A wave of adrenaline coursed through Maya, propelling her forward into the embrace of this defining moment. As the mogul's expression morphed from anger to intrigue, Maya realized they were ready to fight back, fueled not just by ambition, but by the desire for justice and empowerment. "You can't intimidate us with your money. You can't erase our stories. Today, we rewrite the narrative." Suddenly, a flurry of reporters burst into the room, cameras flashing like lightning in a storm. They had caught wind of the commotion and were here to record the unfolding drama. Maya sensed the turning tide, this was her chance to amplify their message. "Your empire built on exploitation is crumbling," she announced, "and we won't let you dictate our futures any longer." The shutters clicked deafeningly, and she felt an overwhelming rush as the community rallied behind her, each clapping and cheering. In that moment, she spotted Alina, who stood focused and commanding at the side. Alina winked, stoking the excitement already brewing. It was as if they could collectively breathe life into change, ignite hope, and redefine their futures. The mogul clenched his jaw, barely concealing his frustration. But just as he prepared to retort, a scream echoed from the back of the room. "Look!" A voice called. Everyone's eyes flicked toward the screen behind them, where images from social media flashed to life. Screens displayed community members sharing their testimonials, highlighting the disparities they faced under the mogul's reign, stories of ambition stifled, dreams dashed, and hopes crushed under the weight of corporate greed. "They think they can uproot us," Maya thought with a sinking feeling. "But we are not just voices, we are a movement, and there's no turning back." With newfound strength, Alina moved forward again, commanding respect. "These stories matter. They reflect lives impacted and dreams deferred. We are here today to voice our truth and to demand accountability. Together, we can become agents of change." Cheers erupted once more as the crowd gained momentum, their spirits buoyed by the acknowledgement of their struggles. The mogul realized he was losing control, and anger simmered beneath the surface. "This is a mistake," he warned, pointing a finger in warning. "You will regret challenging me." But Maya wasn't afraid anymore. The voices of her community rang clearer than the mogul's threats. "Regret? We've lived it already." She shouted back, her voice trembling with emotion. "Today we're claiming what's ours. We stand together because strength is not merely in wealth, but in unity." And in that moment, clarity washed over her. She felt a transformation, not just within herself, but within everyone. Gathered an awakening of purpose, a swell of belonging. They would rise against adversity, they would demand change, justice, and accountable leadership. As news cameras zoomed in, and social media buzzed with the narrative she had ignited, Maya felt life pulse through her veins. "Together, we will not just confront this challenge, we will overcome it." And so, with the bright glow from the screens illuminating their faces, Maya led her community towards the future that waited just beyond the horizon. A future where their voices echoed with power, each story woven into a tapestry of triumph over adversity. With the mogul finally backing down, his influence waning, Maya embraced that moment full of heart, tears of joy in her eyes, radiant smiles around her. This wasn't an ending, it was a breathtaking beginning, a movement fueled by hope, resilience, and unyielding spirit. This is where she stood ready to flourish, and she knew the road ahead would be challenging, but for the first time, it felt bright. She took a deep breath, ready to face whatever came next, and she knew she wasn't alone. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and boost our mission. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending, and let your voice be heard. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Let us keep the ripple of change alive.